Get social with us. Follow us on Instagram at Goodtaste TV. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Good Taste for the Soul. I'm Tanji, Patton. Sometimes taking a stand can be dangerous, but taking a hard right over an easy wrong is always the way to go. My next guest did just that. Say hello to Shelley Luther. Hi, Shelley Luther. Welcome to Good Taste for the Soul. It is such a pleasure to finally meet you.
Thank you. It's absolutely my pleasure, and I know it's taken a little time, but I'm glad to be here talking with you today.
Well, I'm excited about this. I'm for transparency with everyone. This is Representative Shelley Luther, who serves in the Texas legislature, and I wanted to talk to you about your path to get there because your life path and story is quite fascinating. A lot of us remember you and got to know your name during COVID. But before we get to the controversy and your jail time and all of that, I want to talk a little bit about you so we can get to know you a little better. So tell us about, we'll get to the COVID and all how that changed your world in so many ways. But first, tell me a little bit about you. You live in the Dallas area, right?
I actually don't live in Dallas. I've never lived in Dallas. My salon is in Dallas, so a lot of people think that. I was raised by my mom was a secretary or a director of operations, and my dad was a 26-year Marine veteran. And so we lived all over the country before I ended up in Texas. But I was a school teacher for 13 years. That's when my life seemed quote unquote normal, I guess.
Yeah.
And just like a lot of teachers, I got out of the teaching profession. I just didn't feel like it was where I was supposed to be, and I couldn't understand why. I just knew it wasn't. And so, yeah, that's when I opened up a salon because I wanted to do makeup. Also, as far as teaching is concerned, a lot of us teachers have to have a second job. I
Yeah.
also was a lead singer in a band.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so a lot of people don't
Whoa.
know that.
What genre?
We did everything like top 40 type of
Yeah.
anything, just
Kind
singing
of a cover band?
popular songs. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, how fun. So you've even got
Yeah.
more color in your background. I love that. So how long had you had your hair salon before COVID hit?
So about three, 3 years.
Okay, so you'd had it a little while. And
Mhm.
this whole progression after COVID is so fascinating. So take us back to when COVID started. So I think the lockdowns, was it March or April? Did they come in April of 2020?
They started in March,
Okay.
and we actually shut down in March for a month. And then in April, toward the end of April, I had hairstylists contacting me saying, I don't know what to do, because they were not paid employees of mine. They were their own business. They rented seats in my
Oh,
salon. And so there wasn't at that time any way to compensate them for their lost time. And so they didn't know what to do. And I honestly didn't know what to do. So my husband and I thought about it, went to bed crying about it, and woke up and I had this overwhelming feeling that I was supposed to just open the salon because it was just the right thing to do. I wasn't political. I didn't know anything about politics at that time. And I didn't even know if I was actually breaking a law at that time. I just knew that I couldn't be the reason why people couldn't feed their kids.
well, like I say, you became one of my heroes during that time because I think so many people identified with why you did what you did. And so many didn't have the option. If they worked for a business that stayed shut down, for a lot of people, that time was no paycheck regardless. It was a tough time. So you shut down. And how long did it take the police or the county, whoever it was, that started saying, hello, Miss Luther, we have a problem. You need to close?
Well, I got a call the day before I was about to open because I had actually put a post out on Facebook saying, "Hey, these are all the COVID guidelines, that we're following the CDC guidelines.
Mhm.
And I had to say that we were going to open, because if you have a shop full of hairdressers and no clients, they still don't make money. And
Yeah.
so I wasn't trying to be boastful or anything. I was just saying, hey, if you want to come in, these are all the precautions that we're taking, and we'll be open. I don't even know how many of my hairstylists will show up. I'm just giving them the opportunity to do so if they want to. And I ended up having that day 3 out of 18 operators show up. And it started from there. I think it was the end of March or the end of April 26th, kind of rings in my head, that I opened against the shutdown, and I was in jail May 5th.
Wow. So it was a pretty quick time span, really. And if there's anything I think most women understand is don't keep us away from our stylist. You know?
Well,
That's
people
an
were doing
important
things that were
appointment.
way more dangerous, going to people's houses. Instead of having
Yeah,
one area that was very safe, very sanitary. I mean, especially hairdressers are very well trained in sanitation. And so, like, they're supposed to wipe their
mhm,
chairs off and their areas after each client. And they do have that training where Walmart, Lowe's, and Home Depot don't.
yeah. No,
And
you're
so it was
absolutely right.
interesting to see the other places open.
Yeah. No, you're right. I can remember when, my stylist opened too, and after a while, I mean, she was shut down for a bit, but you walked in, everybody was masked and space everywhere, and, it was all that COVIDness. Okay, so when did they start telling you or threatening you? How did that process go down? And I can imagine y you would have to be sort of afraid. I mean, no one wants to go to jail.
No, I was definitely afraid, but there was just something burning inside of me saying that you're doing the right thing, just keep doing it. And it wasn't like an ornery type of thing. It felt like protection at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and I will, let me just be very honest when I can tell you at this time, I've always believed in God. I wasn't raised in a church, but I've always believed in God. And this moment was a reflection of him being with me the whole time.
Mhm.
I had to look back and see that, and especially with my medical thing that happened, it's just all coming to fruition now
Yeah.
about how present he actually is during this whole thing. And honestly realizing that I thought it was more about me and taking a stance and building this platform for something that I was going to do, um, when in turn it was God giving me the platform and the stage to talk about how great he is. And so it's a little overwhelming still, and I think it always will be. Um, I'm just grateful.
Yeah. He certainly gave you a platform.
Yeah.
For sure. So, how long were you in jail, and what was that like?
So I was sentenced to 7 days in jail, because they gave me a cease and desist order. The judge did, and I actually tore it up because I was so
I
mad
remember.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that made him upset, of course. And so I tore that up. And 7 days was the amount of days that I went against his cease and desist order from when I received it. So I got 7 days in jail and $1,000 fine for each day that I was in jail. Fortunately, the Texas the Texas Supreme Court actually got me out of jail after 3 days. Not saying that it was wrong what they did, but they found kind of an error that they made in putting me in jail. It wasn't filed correctly or something like that, and I was able to get out of jail.
So 3 days still, I would think 1 day in jail would be kind of, horrible. What were you doing in jail? I mean, I don't mean the day-to-day activities, but what's going through your mind? Did I make a mistake? What do I do to get out of this? Do I just toughen up? I mean,
Yeah, everything, because when I was actually arrested in during my court case, like, straight from there. It was
mm,
live where everybody could watch what was going on, including my parents.
mm,
and I was handcuffed and taken to the jail immediately. The whole thing, strip searched, um, handcuffed, like all of the things that any prisoner would get. Um, Completely groped and all of the things that, I understand security guards need to do this and this is part of their job to make sure that they're safe. But it definitely wasn't like I was treated any differently than someone that just murdered somebody,
Right.
honestly.
Was it scary at
Um,
night? I
and
mean,
it, w-
were
it
you
was
praying?
scary.
Were you crying? Were you I mean, I just can't imagine, uh
I never cried.
really?
I never cried. I, I, I can't explain to this day why I never cried. And, like, I just the whole time and I didn't know at the time why, but I felt protected, and I didn't know at the time why.
Wow. So you get out, and you actually your case had an effect on Governor Abbott, did it not? Because things changed after you took a stand like that.
Yes, even, President Trump mentioned to Governor Abbott, asked if I was out of jail, and they talked about it and said, "Yes, she's out of jail." And honestly, that gave me the push where I thought I was supposed to be running for some sort of office because we couldn't be things could not be operating correctly if a business owner is getting thrown in jail for working. And so somebody had to do something about it. And I felt like I was supposed to be that person, even though I was not political at all in any way at that time.
So did you feel like it was a higher calling? Like, were you getting this message from, like, from God? Did you think at the time, "This must be something I'm supposed to do"?
I will honestly tell you at that time, I would describe it as someone getting like a premonition or like Um, but I at the time would not have explained it as a calling from God, and I'm just trying to
Mhm.
be honest
Yeah.
with you with that. I don't think my relationship was with God was in a place where I would notice, "Oh, this is God." Like,
Mhm.
I my relationship, it's embarrassing to say what it was, but it was not where I would be like, "Okay, God, I hear you." That's not it.
So you definitely had this feeling that I'm sure you were mad. You felt like you wanted to do something that mattered perhaps and made a difference. I mean, that's what I'm hearing, that it was more determination.
Yeah, it was like an overwhelming thought in my mind that would not go away. um, you must do something about this. I'm kind of a doer anyway. And I always thought, like I always had this I was a school teacher. I was always like a person that would do the right thing. Being raised by a Marine, respectful.
Yeah.
You could tell even when that judge was telling me I was going to jail, I was extremely respectful to him, even though I disagreed with him completely. Um, and a lot of people were like, "How are you not, cursing him out or like whatever?" And I'm like, it never entered my mind to be that way because I wasn't raised that way. But looking back, I'm just telling you, God was with me the whole time. I know that now, and I didn't know that before.
So you decided to run for office. What was that like?
Oh wow. It's the hardest thing that's ever happened in my life because I'm one of those people that if I try my best to do something, I'm usually pretty successful at it. So I haven't had a lot of adversity in my life. And to run for an office and have people either cheering me on or attacking me and don't even know me at all. That was really tough for more my husband more than me, than
Mhm.
myself, because I'm just pretty tough in general anyway. But it was hard because I knew that I was doing the right thing and I wanted to help people as much as possible and my heart was in the right place, but still getting attacked for doing those things. Man, that was tough. And just the journey and the activity that it takes to run a campaign is no one will ever know unless they do it themselves. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And you lost the
I
first
did.
time.
So I actually won the election outright. I got more votes, but I didn't win it by 50%. And so there was a runoff, and I lost the runoff.
That had to be a big blow, I would think, because like you said, you like to get out there, get something done, and then have a
Yeah,
setback.
when you try your absolute best, I could not have done anything more than what I did. And it just wasn't my time. And
Yeah,
that was just really hard to it. And all of the people that donated to my campaign, I felt like I let them all down. It was hard to recover from that.
I can imagine. Did you cry about that?
I did.
You did. That
I
that
did.
time you did. That time you did.
Oh
What
yeah.
gave you the courage to run again?
It was just that overwhelming feeling of this is what you're supposed to be doing. And it took over any thought that I had. I couldn't just, and then multiple people coming up saying, "You were so close. We need you. Can you please run again?" Um, and, my husband, he was like, "Okay, we'll try it one more time."
Kudos to him,
And
right? Because it's hard on the families too.
it's the worst. It's way harder
Mm.
on him than it is for me, honestly, especially being a man and your wife is getting attacked in these ways. And he knows the type of person that I am, and he knows the truth. And it's very difficult for families. But when I ran that election for Texas House, I lost by like 17%. I mean, that's like a crazy loss. Like,
Yeah.
and we decided after that second loss that we were not going to run again. I told my husband, I said, maybe, God's shut the door on this a couple of times, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else. So my husband's also a musician, and we started getting really involved, like with our church. We started leading worship in our church and living like a more um, something that God would be proud of, I thought at the time, like we're living for him because
Mhm.
uh, I felt like he's been there for me the whole time. And so that's what we decided to do after the second election when we lost so badly.
What made you decide to try again?
My husband's still upset about this, but in April, the early April of 2023, which is after I had lost the second election, and we were completely out of politics. We threw away all of my signs. We got rid of everything that was like, I mean, and that's expensive, but we just said,
Yeah.
we were done with it. Let's move on to a new chapter. And I thought we were doing what God wanted. Um, and then we were coming home from another gig that we did. He plays piano, and we do like a little duo thing, and we were laughing and cutting up, and just having a good time, living our best life. And when we got home, I had a brain aneurysm where my carotid artery in the back of my head basically exploded. Um,
Whoa.
and I called my husband on the phone because he was outside. We live on a farm, and he was checking fences because there was a storm. And I said, "Come inside." And he comes inside, and I'm like, "You need to call 911. I feel like I'm going to die." And I knew it was life threatening. The minute it happened, I knew it was life threatening because it's hard to explain to people, and there's not a lot of people that have actually survived it to
Yeah.
talk about it, so it's hard to describe, but it was almost like an overwhelming, like, "Woo, woo." It felt like my head was literally doing that, um, and and I only remember getting in the ambulance when it came, and then I don't have a memory of about 6 or 8 weeks.
Well, you had a long as you said, it was life-threatening, and you had a long recovery, and it wasn't like you were well and got out of the hospital and life continued, was it?
It wasn't. I was in a coma for 10 days. I had 8 strokes in 1 week.
Wow.
I got out of the hospital after 26 days. But even after that, I had speech and physical therapy for weeks. They were showing me basic pictures of like a cat, a dog, animals. And I could feel it in my brain. Like I knew the answer to when they would give me the flashcards, but the names wouldn't come to me. And man, that's frustrating, especially being a teacher. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm like, I know this. I also, and I still have this a little bit. to where, if I try to read something out loud, I now have some sort of dyslexia. I see it correctly in my mind, and when I'm reading it, if I silently read it, it's fine, but the way it translates to my mouth is a little bit backwards still.
Interesting.
Um, I had physical therapy where I had to rebuild my body because they didn't feed me, like, the first 10 days that I was there because of, I could choke on it because my body couldn't remember how to swallow.
I remember seeing, was
So,
it video or photos of you? It looked like they were trying to help you walk and get the physical, I guess it was the brain, uh, body connection going or something. I remember seeing that.
that was, I think the day after I woke up out of my coma, and it was the first time I got out of bed since I've been to the hospital.
Wow. How long till you got out of the hospital?
26 days.
Oh,
And I didn't go to, like, a step down. My husband realized that, like, I needed to be at home. I wouldn't do well in, like, a step down, like a nursing
mhm.
type facility. Um, Maybe because 'cause I'm just really stubborn, but I just needed to be home. And, yeah, I even at one point, like, tore out the feeding tube, and I don't remember any of this stuff, but it doesn't surprise me when my husband tells me that.
She was a tough one.
Yeah, for sure,
The
for
nurses
sure.
and doctors. So, it you got out, it took after a month. Was it a year later you ran for office again? Do I have that right?
It wasn't even a year. So that happened the 1st of April. I got out of the hospital the end of April. Started my physical therapy. And then after a few months of physical therapy, about October, um, I was listening to something on the radio for the first time. I was never leaving my house. And as my husband would describe it, I would sit in the recliner and just basically not do anything. I was feeling honestly sorry for myself, and um, I just didn't wanna do anything anymore, and I walked outside for one of the first times, and my husband was outside working, and he had this, podcast on. It was talking about the Ken Paxton impeachment or something in Texas, and I started asking him questions about it, and I got that overwhelming feeling again, and I hear in my head, "Run one more time, I'll protect you."
Wow.
And so, my husband hadn't even gone back to work yet because he was basically babysitting me, and so, like, a couple weeks went by, and he's going to work for the first time, and I'm sitting there by myself, and I call him, and he's on the way, and he's freaked out because I'm calling him from work or from home, and it's his first time going to work, and I'm like, "Hey, I think I'm supposed to run again," and he's like, "Run where? You don't run anywhere, like, what do you" he thought I meant, like, jogging,
Yeah.
and I was still on a lot of medication at that time, I mean, a handfuls of medication. So he just thought, maybe I was missing him or whatever. And he goes, "We are not running another election. I will talk about to you about this when we get home." And he was just really mad because he just got me back.
Well, yeah. And
Um,
did it ever dawn on you that maybe that aneurysm was a result of all the stress? Do they know why you had that?
They can't ever explain why I had it. They said I could have been born with something that they never caught. I will say that did have headaches throughout my whole life, for the last like 25 years. And I've had CAT scans and MRIs. I've even had, like, you can see, I've had a neck surgery to try to, help repair the headaches. And
Wow.
after all of the tests and scans, they said that I would just be one of those people that has like stress headaches, and so I just didn't think anything of it. It could have been that. We'll never know.
You never know.
But I can tell you right now, um, the Sunday before I had my aneurysm, my husband and I were leading worship in the church, and we were doing a song that said, like, if you have headaches, if you have cancer, if you have this, and I'm sitting there singing to the congregation as like I'm telling you what to do. But I've never asked God to get rid of my headaches before because I can't even tell you why. And
Mhm.
so I hear in my head, "You've never asked me, what are you doing telling these people what to do?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So you will see me back up and put my microphone down and start praying to God in front of everyone, silently, of course, because the song was going on. "Take my headaches away. I know that you can take these away." And I had my brain and that was a Sunday. I had my brain aneurysm on Tuesday of the following week, and I have not had a headache since.
Oh, whoa.
I'm I I can't even make this up. That's why I'm like, embarrassed of my relationship that I had or lack of a relationship that I had with God before this because he's so powerful. And so it's a lot to unfold and for people that don't understand that to even like it's a lot.
No, it absolutely is, and I hear your voice shaking, and I
Yeah.
hope a lot of my friends laugh because I cry easily, and, I feel coming through you know that when something touches you deeply, like a message from God or that relationship feeling, the Holy Spirit, it's powerful.
Yeah. It is. I wish I had the ability to like share what this feeling is with people that are non-believers because they would believe instantly if they could just feel this.
Yeah, I agree. So, you decide, you talked your husband into it somehow. God bless the man.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I did, and my message was different. It wasn't really attacking the person. No, I didn't. I never did personal attacks anyway. It was always
Mhm.
on how they voted and things like that. But that wasn't on my mind. My message was more, um, man. My message was like politics is really important, but it's not more important than you knowing God. And before I thought he built this platform for me to tell you, for me to run this campaign or whatever, but now I know. I know exactly why he did this, because I was obedient to him with opening the salon, and I thought that I was ready to run all of these campaigns because I tried my best, so I should have won, which is ignorant and on my part. But now he told me that he was ready because I knew how to serve him. And so I knew that I was going to win. I knew he was going to make this my time. And it was honestly the least work that we had done on a campaign because I physically couldn't do it. I was
I
still
would have
taking handfuls of medication
and
at the
he
time.
brought the
And
spirit.
so, but I knew he told me I was going to win.
Wow, and you did.
We won.
Yeah,
We
you
did.
sure did. How do you think you're working in your role now is maybe different than it would have been had you won the first or second time?
It's completely different. Everything is God-centered in my office. The people that I hire, um, just every decision that I make,
Mhm.
I'm very obedient when he tells me one way or the other. I listen harder, and if I don't listen, I pray about it. None of that would have happened before.
So it has been different. And I think you've been criticized by some, which is not anything unusual in the world we live in right now when you take a stand. But you've taken some arrows
Yeah.
for your faith.
Yeah, but you know what? If this was really easy, um, I think I'm right over the target because it's so hard.
Hmm. I
And I
reflect.
feel like I'm doing God's work because I'm getting so much grief from people. Um, I'm okay with it. I'm okay because I can stand proud and tall and know that I'm doing his work no matter what it costs. And I'm okay with that. I can go to bed at night knowing that he saved me for a reason and I will be relentless in doing his work.
Which gives you peace, I would imagine.
I have such peace over it. And not just that, I think about I'm not afraid of death.
Hmm.
It's more of a happy thought for me, and that sounds kind of scary too, but I'm not afraid of it. I can't wait to thank him personally.
Oh, that's beautiful. It truly is. I hadn't planned to talk to you about politics because they're divisive, and my goal is not to be divisive. But I do want to be honest with our audience and stand for things I stand for. And this week has been a tough week with Charlie Kirk's
Yes.
death, and I think anyone in the public eye has to be thinking twice. Now, you may be an exception because of what you've just told me there, but how has that incident affected the way you think about what you do? Um, the discourse in our country right now that's just so vitriolic and hate filled so often.
I think it's an opportunity. First of all, I can't wait to see what God does with this because it's all
Mhm.
part of his plan. Um, I think some of the posts that I put on social media, I'm praying for the killer and his family that had to turn him in. Um, and my biggest hope for him is that he repents and turns to Jesus before he dies. That's my biggest. If we get more people believing in God because of this horrible tragedy, then I think Charlie Kirk would say it was worth it.
Yeah. You said something he had said, now I'm hoping people will go back and listen to what he said in the context he said it and not what others are saying about him or saying he
Yeah.
said, because I think he probably based, and I'm just going by, things I've heard him say. I don't think he was afraid of death either.
I don't I don't know him personally,
I don't either.
um, but I have watched a lot of his content even before this happened. I know that he had a connection to young individuals that none of us could have ever gotten.
Mhm.
I think he was a threat to some ideologies that people had. But honestly, I think that he would be grateful for the people that hated him before and want them to seek Christ and turn to Christ and repent. And I don't know him, but I feel like he would say that it was worth it if he saved people and turned them to Christ.
Well, he certainly had an effect on a generation of young people, and now, um, I would imagine more so, with what's happened as tragic as it is. So, are you hopeful for the future? Um, I'm personally, like I say, I've been a fan of yours from afar. We've never met, and I just think you have a lot of courage, and you're really standing strong on what you believe. I hope that inspires others like you with that same courage from any party to do the same.
Yeah, it's hard to be like people call me a hero or what are those things? Like I wouldn't be anything today if God didn't lead the way. And so I yes, I love that people look up to me and see me as some sort of role model or whatever it is. Um, but my whole goal in life, because I have seen what death looks like, I've seen it. I just want to make him proud of who I am.
Well, I think I speak for a lot of your constituents who know you a lot better than I do. They're very proud of you. And I just am thrilled at the opportunity to share your story with our Good
Thank
Taste
you.
folks because it's a story worth telling and definitely worthy of hearing. Thank you so much, Shelley. It has been a pleasure.
And it's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you so much.
And I will tell you, if you lived in my district, I'd vote for you.
Thank you. I
I
appreciate
really am.
that.
I appreciate your patience getting all these technical issues worked out.
That was my fault. I apologize.
Oh, no worries. These things are so funny, and we had another one this morning, same thing, and whatever you corrected on your end, I guess he didn't figure out on his, but, These things are our best friends sometimes and our worst enemy. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. No, my husband just pulled it up on his computer instead, so it was fine. And when in doubt, just get a different device and see what happens.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna try to
exactly.
look at mine and look up what's going on with that so it doesn't happen.
Well, please pass along my thanks to your husband too. He's been a trooper, it sounds like,
He
through so
is.
much beyond today's little technical issues. So it really is a pleasure to meet you. If I can ever help you on this end of things, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Same with us. Anything that you ever need, we would be happy to help.
All right, Shelley, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great weekend.
You too.
Get social with us. Follow us on Instagram at Goodtaste TV.